Hear me, all panelists and attendees. My name is Al Demai. And first of all, thank you so much. And I welcome you to our soft launch of our product called Diverse Marketplace. There are a lot of people gave us input from the day we came up. Well, folks in this group gave us this idea. And a lot of people are still giving us new ideas as to why they think this is good from their perspective. And we really have a great panel speakers today who will give their version of what they need to see or have seen so far that intrigues them. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to our moderator today, Sharon Castillo, who is a CPA and has been in the consulting role for many years, over 30 years, has been a member of different organizations, sustainability in particular, diversity spend, et cetera, and currently she also works as the auditor for Billion Dollar Roundtable. So with that, Sharon, it's all yours.
Thank you, Al. So I am the founder and the principal of a company called SB Services. We're a management consulting firm, a diverse supplier. We've had the privilege of working with a wide variety of corporations over the years. While I know some of the panelists, I don't know everybody, so it's my pleasure to meet you and to be a part of this session. I always say that as a consultant, you have the opportunity to get a very granular look of our corporate clients inside and almost where you can peel back the curtain and see really what's going on internally within organizations. And so that ranges from corporate culture to organizational structure, how information flows, IT systems, and specifically supply chains. So our core expertise is working with corporations to help them advance supplier diversity and sustainability. We get to see what works and what doesn't work. And from what we've seen of the tool, Diverse Marketplace is a unique tool with a huge potential to not only help promote diverse suppliers, but also work with corporations and councils. And so we're going to talk about each one of those perspectives today. We have a full agenda, and it's broken into about 5 different sections. So you kind of go from one perspective to another. So we're going to try to keep things moving along. And we're going to start off with a guest speaker. So my pleasure to introduce Adrian Trimble. I've known Adrian for a long time. And I have to say that, you know, there's few people where you can say your reputation precedes you, but I think Adrian is one of those. Her work in the area of supplier diversity, she's one of the most innovative people that I've met in decades, and certainly has a documented track record for capacity building. So while diverse suppliers have grown both in numbers and in size over the years, capacity building is still in demand and a hot topic. And Adrian has a wonderful track record in developing joint ventures for suppliers where once there were none. So if anybody can do it, was delighted to see that she took the helm at NMSDC. And without further ado, Adrian.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for those kind words and that generous introduction. And hello, everyone. Again, Adrian Trimble, President and CEO of the National Minority Supplier Development Council, and really thrilled to be a part of this soft launch of this tool. We all know that diverse businesses, particularly minority businesses, have been challenged this year. And we want to ensure that we are working with partners that are developing innovative tools, processes, and putting in place resources that can help strengthen the connection between our corporations and those businesses that they are looking to have stronger economic inclusion and utilization of within their supply chain. From what I've been able to see and learn about this tool, it's definitely leading us in the right direction. So I really want to thank Al and the LSI team for being so innovative in putting together this type of platform that can support and augment the work that organizations like NMSDC is already doing. As was mentioned earlier, a number of our councils have already started utilizing this tool, working very closely to pilot the rollout and the implementation of it. So I'm pleased to say that NMSDC will be looking at this holistically and working with the LSI team to understand how this can continue to be a tool that helps support our continued ability to connect corporations and those who are looking to buy and sell products. So we're really thrilled to be a part of this. Thank you so much for the invitation. And thank you, Al, for the foresight and the innovation for putting in place this type of resource that's going to help really position diverse businesses for this type of connection and get the visibility that they need in this type of digital transformation that's so necessary for us. So really pleased to be a part of this. Look forward to the continued collaboration, and we'll definitely be talking about ways that we can continue to make sure this supports the needs of our minority businesses and their connections and their products and services that they are trying to position so necessary for this time and challenge that they're facing right now.
Thank you so much, Adrian. I really appreciate you coming in and giving us these remarks from a President NMSDC perspective. Would you be okay to take a few questions? I know you got to run very soon, but I'm just, okay, so.
It's fine, I do have a couple of minutes, I could take a few.
Sure, so again, forum is with the speakers who are going to be speaking soon, as well as the chat room that is open as well. Looking at Q&A, looking at my chat.
So as you hear from various speakers, you can either submit questions into the Q&A box or via the chat, preferably the Q&A though. The session is being recorded as well and will be able to be viewed at a later point in time.
So Adrian, maybe I'll start with a question to you. From the President's perspective, you kind of gave your thoughts on how this will help overall MBEs. And we haven't got a chance to show the entire tool, but what are the key features that you would like to see that will help drive the spend and the engagement, Adrian?
I think the last word you said there is the key word. It's really that engagement. So how do we have a tool, and this tool is definitely heading that right direction, that allows diverse businesses, particularly for me, okay, I represent minority businesses, that gives them the ability to have an open market to be able to position not just their product and service, but the back end information in terms of catalogs, other information that's really important for the seller, for the buyer to get a holistic understanding of how this product can help meet their business needs. I think that's what I really think is so important here. It goes beyond just an initial introduction or connection. It really goes into how these services can be elevated for those looking to procure their either goods or services that they're trying to present.
A question from George Ergart from CTDI. I suppose, George, the question is to Adrian. So let me read that. What is that we are not doing right in building the diverse marketplace? How can we fix that?
That question's for me. Is it about the tool or is it about just overall? I'm not quite sure of the question.
Good question. I'm asking George, who's this question addressed to? Question for all. Okay, so George, if you don't mind, we'll cover a lot of these things during the session, including the demo of the tool, and more than happy to address this if you're not answered your question, George. But thanks for
I would just give my own initial perception of this in terms of what this need is meeting that doesn't exist today. And it really is connecting the two sellers and buyers in an open marketplace. That does not exist today. I think a number of our advocacy organizations have what we consider databases that folks can go in and search, but not search with the level of ease that this type of tool provides. I think there is a big difference there. And that's why I'm interested to learn how this can help augment the types of connections that organizations like NMSDC and our affiliate councils make today to help drive more of that interactive connection that could take place in this type of tool.
And if I may, Adrian and the team, I must say, this idea was given to us. First of all, there's a lot of people, a lot of Many of them are speaking today, but there are a few more who given us input from day one. The key idea was given by, I would say, Mondelez, Paul and Frank, and followed by Terry and Corey Smith. So these were kind of initial, I would say, people who gave us, hey, can we actually buy the stuff in a real environment like Amazon? So that was the nucleus. We just implemented the tool, Adrian, to be honest with you.
No, and I think it's really, again, I have that corporate perspective, given that I spent a number of years building a supplier diversity process for a very large, complex global organization. So I definitely understand the ease and viewing this from a corporation's perspective in terms of how this could be more helpful in being able to search for those specific goods and services that may be, again, going beyond just making an initial introduction of who's certified, but really understanding how they can deliver a type of product and service that can help serve needs within their supply chain.
And we tried our best to make sure this is literally very, very easy to use, right from navigation to selection to payment to whole 9 yards. So, and we are always there to, looking at internally ourselves as a team and getting feedback from, we are willing to get feedback from people to say, hey, I need this faster or easier to manage. So we are there.
Okay, I'm sorry, I do have to drop off now, but Al, thank you for letting me just come in and have just a few moments. And on behalf of the NMSDC network, we look forward to working with you and understanding how this can, again, help augment the services that NMSDC provides as a whole.
Thank you so much, Adrian. And on behalf
Thank
of the
you, everybody.
entire...
Have a good day. Thanks,
yeah,
bye.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to some early adopters. So you'll hear comments from both the New York, New Jersey Council, as well as stakeholders from Mondelez. And we'll start with Terrence Clark, who's the president of New York, New Jersey, MSDC. Terrence?
Okay, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and everybody's safe. We looked at this from a standpoint of, several things. First of all, as we all know, this has been a different and unusual year. And, with the advent of unfortunate pandemic of COVID-19, also with the death of George Floyd in June of this year, a lot of things changed. And, a couple of things that we saw out of our affiliate in New York. First of all, we have a lot more people who registered with us and certified with us, probably another 300 this year. But how do we connect these people, these business owners who put up their capital and their capital is at risk, with corporate members whom they hope they can connect with and buy products and services? So when, in speaking with Paul Williams and Frank Thompson from Mondelez, and along with our former board chair, Corey Smith, we began to think, what's the best way to make this process a little easier, to provide an opportunity for our MBEs to be able to spotlight their products and services to the corporate members, and for the corporate members to learn a little bit more about our MBEs. I mean, we recognize that people aren't in their office. We recognize that a lot of the events that we've always had no longer exist, at least not in the short run because of COVID-19. And, to be able to do a lot of things virtually, we needed some way to put people in front of each other. And that was kind of the genesis of this diverse marketplace, allowing those in our portfolio, and as Adrian mentioned, they're all ethnic minority certified businesses, to be able to connect with the corporate members that we have within the NMSDC network, hopefully for potential business opportunities. Because what we are looking at, as many people know, we have 4 classes of businesses, and our goal has always been to move people from class 1, 2 to 3 to 4. To be able to do that, though, they have to have that ability to connect. And we feel that this is a way not only to provide people with the ability to connect, but also a way not only to connect with corporate members, but perhaps even connect with other MBEs. And that's something that we also look at, recognizing that we have different sizes of businesses, some that may be, in the purview of our corporate members and some that may not be. But this gives that opportunity for people to see what other people are doing, be able to hopefully engage and offer their products and services, and begin to grow and develop their business. I mean, none of us know really what's going to go on in 2021. We all hope that, these vaccines that we've heard about over the last week or so come to the forefront, that people will take them over a course of time, but we don't know that. And we also know, at least in our council, that we probably are not going to do business in the same way, because we're not going to have the same kind of in-person opportunities. So anything that we can do that we feel is going to connect and bring people together is something that, we certainly have a tremendous interest in. And as a result of that came the diverse marketplace, which we hope becomes not only a local initiative for our council, but a national initiative throughout our network. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terrence. I think your feedback and input is greatly appreciated and valued as an early adopter. We also want to take the time to hear from Angela Guzman, who is the council chair for the New York, New Jersey Council.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the time. Good afternoon. I actually inherited the role from Corey Smith. We've heard Corey Smith's name mentioned a few times, and I can tell you that as he was transitioning this role over to me, I was sold almost immediately. There is clearly a need in the market. And I am a firm believer that we should strike while the iron is hot. So as Terry alluded to before, with a lot of the corporate focus on social injustice and really investing into economic impact, a solution like this is really, really timely. The one thing I believe that really underscores and sold me from the very inception of this idea is that it is something that is owned, operated, and controlled by a minority business. So not only do we have a need in the market for connecting to minority businesses through a diverse marketplace, we also want to make sure that this tool that's being built, this technology that's being built, is being built by those in the community. And so I think that that just serves in a halo effect and is part of the reason why I absolutely support and endorse. And Terry also alluded to the ability to do MBE to MBE connections. I think given the economic state, that is more paramount now more than ever. And so really having the opportunity to go onto a virtual source, everything is digital these days, find qualified and certified firms that are offering services, not only to corporations, but perhaps to peer MBEs. I believe that it could really boost the ecosystem and give it the boost that we've needed for some time, but certainly now more than ever.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So sorry, if I may jump in, I think both Paul and Frank gave us different perspective, from simple buying to buying cleaning services, even forklift operator. Why don't you give us your feedback? And I was surprised. Why do you need forklift operators or warehouse managers? So what was that all about, Paul and Frank?
I guess I'll go first. So as we thought about this at Mondelez and started talking about how do we connect corporations or our buyers, and in our environment in Mondelez is we kind of have a self-service procurement process. So our employees will use a tool, Coupa, and they can go out and kind of select from catalogs of what services or products that they need. So as we were thinking about this, it's like, well, why can't we have diverse suppliers as part of that catalog and have that connection or that bolt on into our Coupa tool? So employees can, from their perspective, can actually select diverse suppliers. And it kind of came out from what happened with the COVID situation. I mean, we not only need supplies, whether it's masks or hand sanitizers, but we also needed lots of people and temporary people also to service our distribution centers and to service some of our manufacturing plants. And to have that at your fingertips as a person at a plant that needs temporary service or needs products that they could use, just a quick click, and all of a sudden in a couple of days or so, you are receiving product, a PO is cut, and the process begins, and it's a diverse supplier. But to me, it gives Mondelez employee that decision-making capability too, that they can use diverse suppliers and that they're part of the diverse supplier process and what's happening within our company. And then the other great part in my mind is it gives diverse suppliers direct access to corporates, and they can now start selling their products directly to us in a way that we've never really seen before. So it gave us that capability. We've actually had some of our capabilities team take a look at the tool recently and think about, does it make sense? Is it pretty quickly to bolt on? And Al's team and kind of showed, yes, it is capable to do that. It is pretty straightforward and pretty fast. So there's really no change to the end user or the employee when they do select something. It's just right transparent. They click on their item and it comes right in. So to me, we're taking advantage of the technology that exists today from a corporate perspective and allowing our people to utilize that. So we're very excited to begin piloting this and working with this and making it part and helping it to make it become real and realistic to our company. So we're very excited about the whole product.
Yeah, and if I can just pile on, when Al first started talking to us about this tool, I was actually looking at it with kind of 3 hats on. So up until very recently, I was responsible for our global ingredients procurement. I also was the sponsor for supplier diversity within the company. And then I also sit on the board of the council. So as I looked at it, I think it's like a win-win-win for each one of those hats. And I'll tell you why. I think there's a couple of things that are happening pretty consistently across all companies. All procurement organizations are being asked to do more with less. So as Frank alluded to at Mondelez, we're largely a self-service organization, and that's on everything from managing HR of your staff and more to the procurement process. And so, you have this idea that people are being asked to do more with less, operate more efficiently. They have less budget for travel and the type of networking and things that used to help to identify diverse suppliers. So having the ability to go into an interface and then filter on diverse suppliers and identify them very quickly was helpful. The other big thing that we have is digitization. So overall, we're digitizing our overall procurement process end to end. And the more you're able to do that, and the more you're able to integrate that with the rest of your system, which this tool does, the better you are. So being able to identify potential supplier, cut the PO, and have it linked in with your payables process was also beneficial. And then last but not least, our stakeholders inside of the company. So when I think about our stakeholders of the procurement process, they're demanding more and more to have the type of buying experience that they have at home. So people want to know if I'm able to purchase something on my phone with several clicks very easily, get an Amazon type experience at home, why can I not do that when I need to buy goods and services inside the company? Or they say, if I can use the data of like a Yelp to help me make my decisions when I'm buying, why can't I get that type of interface when I'm buying something for the company? And so what I saw with this tool is that it starts to move, and address that ability of being easier to use, similar to the interface that folks have at home. And as a supplier diversity, owner within the company, it helps to get them to to identify diverse suppliers. And so in my opinion, like this is a win-win-win all around this interface.
Paul, I do have a quick question for you. Coming from ingredients and raw materials, so as a core area of spend within a global manufacturer, do you see the tool being conducive for direct material suppliers as well?
Absolutely. So I think, and then I think there's 2 ways. So first of all, I think you could, there's no reason why direct suppliers should not be included in the database. So if there's a diverse supplier who can provide us with packaging or ingredients, et cetera, they should be in there. My spend area leads, one of the questions I would be asking them is, have you checked in the tool to see if there's someone that's there? So I think that's the first way. And then the second is we push our strategic partners on the direct material side to ensure that they are also spending with diverse suppliers also. And so one of the first questions that we get from them a lot of times is, who are the folks that are available? And so having a simpler way, an easier way to point them to the people that's available will help in that way, as well. So I absolutely sure.
Okay, thank you. Well, I know that people, frequently hold that as somewhat sacred in corporations and much harder to penetrate areas of direct spend. So appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about that? Like, I just have assumed actual direct responsibility for supplier diversity. And I was talking to our global RAWs lead, and he made an excellent point that there's a great opportunity for finding those places in your supply chain where there may be a gap or an inefficiency, and then looking for who are the diverse suppliers who could provide that service to make that more efficient. And there's an opportunity to get there, you know, to actually get some pretty significant spend in that way. So for us, for example, we buy a lot of cocoa, obviously, and there's a huge, you know, a lot of complex steps that happen from the cocoa farmer to our cocoa supplier. And so one of the first things we're going to target is looking at, are there logistics and agribusiness folks who could come in and help us manage that more efficiently? And it's a win-win because you're getting improved efficiency as well as, you know, an improved supply chain. And I cite that as an example where I would love to be able to have folks in this interface where I can search on agronomists and agricultural business, et cetera, and then pull some examples of what folks who could do this work and introduce them to our cocoa suppliers.
And that's a great lead in. I mean, I think the global aspects are also invaluable here. And we'll talk about global in a few minutes there with Gary Joseph, who I think is also on the line. I think, Al, are you ready to go into, so this has been somewhat of a lead in to kind of a teaser for those of you that haven't seen the tool yet. And I think Al is short presentation on diverse.
I am all set. Can you see my screen, Sharon? And
Yep.
Okay. So again, I'm going to walk you through the quick PowerPoint on kind of a journey of this product. The next one is going to be there are two videos, what you see as from the supplier side, who's trying to sell the products, and the buyer side. So let me start with the presentation first. So this is kind of based on a platform that we built during 9/11 called Adopt a Company. There are people on this panel who have seen this in action during that time, supported this during that period. It was a pro bono platform built by us just to help victims of 9/11 in Lower Manhattan. Mayor Bloomberg adopted it in February of the next year, 2002. And we ultimately had 85 major sponsors, Citibank, JPMC, SAP, and 400 small companies were helped who were impacted by 9/11. This is all pro bono by everybody in this overall ecosystem. This program actually is running a newer version, of course, newer technology, is currently running pro bono in King County in state of Washington, where Fernando Hernandez nearby and Fernando Martinez. Again, to help local businesses there. From this concept is where we got the idea, given again by the folks who just spoke earlier in the early adopters panel, the concept of marketplace. So it's a proven, simple matchmaking product. We enhanced it basically. From structural perspective, this diverse marketplace sits in the middle. We have corporates on one side, suppliers on the other side, and councils, New York, New Jersey, EMSDC, we have 3 other presidents here who will be helping us if they come on board, if and when, to help us get both diverse suppliers from local as well as corporations on board. Like Frank said, the corporations can buy the products through their own system, Ariba, Coupa, whatever proprietary system, which is not there yet, this link, but we can build it if people want, corporations want. And it's a very simple platform. We all like to call it Amazon-like. We all shop on Amazon, and we know how it is, how easy it is. And we try to actually use many concepts from there, from that particular platform, honestly. So we verify that it's a diverse supplier on one side. We actually show that certification on the platform. In some cases where products need further certifications, especially masks and gloves, etc., we also ask for those certifications and we show it to the buyer. We, again, filter based on ethnicity or diversity status as a buyer. And a buyer can buy based on a P card or a PO card or credit card, and many different mechanisms basically. As a supplier, you have ability to sell locally, nationally, or internationally. And of course, you get a very fancy order tracking. And from the corporation side, what you purchase, spend, different categories, different business units, different classifications, very comprehensive dashboard of number 6. Very easy to use platform. And of course, we have dedicated call support. So 5 simple steps, and I won't go into every step in detail here, but just register, search for the product, just like Amazon, put in the card, verify the card, and pay. And you get order tracking, just like what we get today. Of course, we have ability to replace or return the product, just like every other online shopping cart these days. From the supplier perspective, again, it's meant for diverse suppliers only on one side. They have opportunity to go local, national, or global. And you also get very detailed dashboards on where your sales are. I'll show you part of that in the product demonstration. Very easy, and this was mentioned by many people. Catalog input is very important for suppliers, and we believe we have very easy way to import the entire catalog. Automated payouts, another, again, we follow Amazon model. When they pay, how much they pay, that you can see on your dashboard. Same thing, very simple, registration, followed by set up your shop profile, upload the catalog, manage and fulfill the orders. Just like if you're used to shop, putting your stuff online, then exactly the same process is here in our platform as well. So with that, again, phase 1, I think we mentioned New York, New Jersey Council has already launched it. We are looking at other council precedents to come on board. And there are, again, precedents will tell us later on what is their time frame in terms of, what time they plan to come on board. There are various things we will add as we go along if need be, like this number 2 here, using Coupa or Ariba, a proprietary system or enterprise systems, procurement systems today. The platform does allow RFP and RFI, reverse auctions and facilities like that. I don't know whether corporations will ever ask us to provide this feature, but platform does provide multi-language, multi-currency for international, et cetera, et cetera. So with that, I'm going to quickly go through the buyer side version of this platform.
Welcome to
And I'm going to pause this very short presentation in between to kind of give you specific features as we go along.
Diverse Marketplace. A marketplace exclusively for diverse suppliers.
These are actual screenshots of the product, by the way. And very recently, we added this African-American business one click, because that's what we heard from, again, potential buyers.
Diverse Marketplace is a B2B marketplace with intuitive navigation that will facilitate easy and seamless buying process between
Again, this was added because of buyers told us, hey, one click of a mouse, I want to buy COVID-19 centric products, masks, gloves, et cetera, et cetera.
Suppliers and corporations. With an easy login process, you can shop by category, search your product basis price, manufacturer.
Again, just like you're used to do on Amazon or other portals, sort based on the manufacturer, the color, the material. Here we added, of course, ethnicity, diversity status. So you can filter in or out based on, again, any of these criteria.
Ethnicity or even diversity status. Select the product. Verify the supplier and product certifications.
This is where we require the suppliers to input their certification by, of course, in this case, NMSDC.
Check the availability and zip code.
These were product certifications, if I may, some of them. Specifically, this is a mask. So, and then just like, again, Amazon, you select, put in shopping cart.
Check the availability and zip code. Before adding to the cart and proceeding to check out. Choose your delivery option and place the order via P-card, credit card, or purchase order. Your order is placed with a confirmation email in your inbox. We are available to support you through phone or emails. Reach out to us at buyer.support@diverse.
Again, these are our contact information. So let me quickly show you the
So-
suppliers. Yeah, please
Now,
go
before
ahead.
you go on there, one of the questions that came in is, it mentioned purchasing through a PO. So one of the questions is, does the tool have the availability if, for example, there's a master contract or master services agreement that you would be able to put a PO number in there against the agreement, correct?
The answer is yes, and it is kind of a loaded question. So I will answer that once the panel thing is done. But quick answer is yes. Okay.
Diverse
I'll
suppliers
go through very quickly. I'm looking at my watch here.
get
very quick
access to
demo
hundreds of
from the
corporate
supplier
buyers
side.
and increased business opportunities through Diverse Marketplace. These opportunities will expand from regional to global as we grow together. Subscribing with lifetime membership in nominal fee with Diverse Marketplace provides a complete mechanism for the suppliers to manage their business along with our support.
This is the dashboard I was telling you about. From the supplier side, you get very fancy, dashboards, all kinds of, data there you can get, and we'll continue to upload more reports as we see needs.
Supplier get their dedicated dashboard, where they get central visibility over their business and transactions. You can upload multiple products with few clicks and create your catalog in no time. Suppliers can manage the incoming orders with ease. An integrated shipping label generation makes the delivery and shipment process a matter of minutes.
I'm going
Selling
to skip
with
some of it if you don't mind. I'm looking at my watch here. I'm more than happy to. First of all, this will be recorded and sent to people who are interested. But of course, you can send in questions that will respond as we go along. So with that, Sharon, unless you have questions for me on this, I'll hand it over back to you.
Yeah, so there are a lot of questions that are coming in here. So I know these videos are on YouTube. You will make them available to anybody that wants to see the link, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thus pricing, both from a supplier, I guess particularly from the supplier perspective, they're asking, is there a fee to join the catalog? So I don't know if you want to save that till later or.
Yeah. No, so very quickly, we use Amazon model of everything, product type, fees, the way types of fees they charge. So only suppliers pay fees, buyers don't. And the fees are less than what you see today in the market. And there is a $500 fee that we had initially, but we're going to waive it till we announce otherwise. So for the people who join now, if they want, that initial one-time fee is waived.
Let's see, the video keeps on working. So I think some of these will be answered as we go forward. And any questions that aren't answered will be captured and sent out to the group as a whole for those that participated. So that kind of gives you an idea when Al references kind of like an Amazon. We all shop on Amazon on a regular basis. And as was pointed out early on, I mean, this is an opportunity for your Amazon buys to go through a diverse supplier like LSI. So not literally Amazon buys, but very similar format, and gives great visibility to diverse suppliers that participate, as well as increases the use from a corporate buying perspective, which I think is part of the hurdle in many corporations that are on the on the seminar today on the panel can also echo that in terms of time, energy, and effort. You know, one of the things about supplier diversity is you're trying to get people to change their behavior, and that change includes additional time and effort on the part of corporate buyers or the sourcing teams. And so I think that this really will be a great tool. So you've heard now the teaser, you saw kind of a blurb on the video and the tool itself from both the corporate and the supplier perspective. And so now we're going to go on to feedback from individual councils in Al and his user-friendly fashion. People have seen the demos and said, but Al, can you do this? Or Al, can you do this? So let's move on to some of those considerations. I'm going to start with Valerie Cofield, who is the CEO of Eastern MSDC.
And if I may, yeah, the feedback was, I really appreciate we have feedback given by all of you on an ongoing basis. And we will, of course, incorporate as many features in the sequence that we think, you know, is possible. So that's our commitment to you all.
So Valerie?
Valerie, you're on mute.
I'm unmuted now. So thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Al. For EMSDC in particular, we have always, and I don't want to just say in particular, you know, we are always encouraging our MBEs to utilize each other. When the pandemic hit and we started looking at ways to support our MBEs, particularly those that were in the PPE space, we created a listserv, but not necessarily an online marketplace, where we were collecting data from our MBEs that were able to provide the PPE out into the marketplace, but no real way for there to be direct buying capability. So when Al approached me about this and, you know, and shared the vision, what I saw was, number one, a way to immediately address the challenges of getting more PPP supplies out into the marketplace, amplifying the ability of our MBEs to pivot, but also now to look at other commodities. And Al will tell you that one of the first things I said was, my interest is how do we get our construction suppliers, those suppliers that can support the construction industry is my personal passion. And so I said, now here's a way to put commodities that support the construction industry or industrial services onto a platform that was intuitive. And I appreciate it, because I am an online shopper myself, the ease of use. It's very intuitive for people who are accustomed to purchasing online. But more importantly, it was helpful to the corporates I saw, because where you have decentralized purchasing, there is a way now to, number one, direct internal users to a marketplace that was specifically for diverse businesses. And also, I believe through reporting, Al, if I'm not mistaken, we would be able to also see how spend was happening with diverse suppliers inside of the marketplace. So what happened is there's another way of being able to capture and track spend with diverse suppliers that may traditionally fly under the radar. So for EMSDC in particular, and I'm sure my colleagues as well, this became an added tool and an added benefit. For our MBEs, this is a great place. You centralize your services, your supplies. You have direct contact with the purchasers. It allows for payment. You know, payment is always important. So now, you know, either through P cards or POs or credit cards, now you have businesses that are having access to immediate and direct payment. And so for EMSDC, first of all, anytime I get an opportunity to follow Terrence's lead, it's always a good thing. But for EMSDC, this was a no-brainer, because it allowed us to take what we believed was the next step in just providing information, but to really provide a place to consolidate and decentralize the purchasing process.
So you raised some good points there, Valerie. Just want to, I guess, confirm. So we heard from a corporate perspective, you certainly can track your purchases if you're a corporate buyer, but you're also saying from a council perspective, you will be able to see the buys that are from corporations that are going through the council?
Yes, exactly. So we can see how our businesses where our businesses are finding opportunities inside of the marketplace.
Which would be new, a new transparency or visibility that you hadn't had before.
And so now we can really speak to that economic impact. And that's a piece that, when we talk about data that we're collecting and being able to share in the marketplace, generally, that economic impact is critically important to be able to measure it in real time.
Especially now, right? Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to move to Fernando Martinez, President and CEO of Northwest MSDC.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's still morning here in Seattle, so thank you for having us. Al, first of all, I want to congratulate you on this tool. When you first brought it to us, it was very, very enlightening in terms of what you were doing. Plus, it also demonstrated what every corporation says that they're looking for in an MBE, right? And that's an innovative mindset. And so ever since I've known Al, dating back to the mid-2000s, he's always innovating and he's always doing something new, right? And this is a tool that I think can solve many problems for our MBEs as well as our corporations. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about with regard to this product, Diverse Marketplace. One is the ease of use. Two is the suppliers and why it's important to our MBEs and corporations. And then, of course, the availability for this to expand the market for our MBEs. And then lastly, I'll talk a little bit about an introductory program that Clifford Bailey introduced several years ago about spending $1 billion with MBEs. So first of all, years ago, I worked with Amazon on trying to onboard several MBEs into their Amazon platform. And it was very difficult for the MBEs to onboard their product. It was trying, and I got to tell you that we failed at that model. It was so hard for the MBEs to onboard. Now, whether some MBEs have done it or not, I don't know. But the MBEs that I was working with, we just could not execute the onboarding of their products and their catalog. So eventually that kind of fell by the wayside. Then we moved into linking Amazon with the MBDA. And then, because the MBDA has a much bigger population of MBEs than the NMSDC, and so we looked at that, and then that became quite a challenge. And then it became a challenge of, are we going to use your contract? Are we going to use our contract? So then it became a contractual negotiation issue between Amazon and the MBDA. And at the end of the day, I don't think that they ever did anything, because the last time I checked, nobody knew that there was ever a relationship built between the MBDA and Amazon. So our efforts with Amazon really did not work. So what happened when I talked to Al, it really kind of opened up how easy it is to upload your MBE catalog. And through that ease, it just makes it that much quicker for you to actually bring your products to market. The quicker you bring your products to market, the quicker your sales are. And so this is why this is important, is because now it's a global and regional and local sales tool that our MBEs can use. For example, in the university system, there's lots of research universities in the country. And those universities have a lot of federal funds, which drives the need to utilize MBEs. Well, with this tool, if we market correctly to the universities across the country, there's millions and millions of dollars that can be spent on an annual basis with MBEs. This one MBE that we're trying to help with get onboarded, there were 3 POs that were worth over $1 million in just if we were able to onboard him, it would have been $1 million of business for him instantaneously. That's the availability of the funds that are out there for MBEs to enjoy. Those $1 million can take a firm to the next level. As Terrence said, our efforts are always to graduate the MBE from one level to the next and help them grow. So with this diverse marketplace tool, what Al has done is he solved 3 problems. One is he solved the ease with which our corporations can buy directly from MBEs. 2, he solved the problem about the MBEs actually being able to market their products outside of their local market. So we have MBEs in the state of Washington that can now and will now be able to sell their market across the country in other states. And three, it solved the problem of the MBE to MBE business, right? You have an innovative MBE that has developed an innovative platform that is now doing business for everybody. So Al has triangulated this whole process. The other thing that I'll say is that, you know, we were in Puerto Rico about 4 years ago, and this initiative of Spend $1 billion with MBEs was presented by Clifford Bailey, who is the outgoing MBIC chairperson. And, you know, I looked at it very simply, right? So we have 11,000 MBEs. So that means that about 90,000 per would get us to $1 billion, right? So if our corporation spend $90 billion with each MBE, it would be, you know, we'd hit that mark. Or we have 4,500 corporations. If every corporation were to spend an additional 220,000 with our MBEs, that would hit the $1 billion mark, right? A lot of excitement, but I've not heard of us hitting that target. What Al has done is Al has facilitated solving that problem, because I anticipate that if every university has federal funding and they each buy, you know, $1 million, we're going to blow out that $1 billion, that $1 billion initiative that was introduced about 4 years ago. So Al's innovative mindset, his innovative company, is bringing us to a level of performance where our MBEs are truly going to be able to sell their products. Our buyers can now be really agnostic in terms of, you know, we can buy from any MBE that we want across the country. We don't have to go to the same well and drink water from the same well all the time. So I just want to say thank you to Al for opening up the marketplace for our MBEs and for solving the problems where our corporate members can actually go and buy. And then again, as Valerie said, tracking corporate spend is a difficult thing for all of our councils. And so this enables us to get some insight into how our corporate members are spending money. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Fernando.
So can I? So
go ahead.
Thank you, Fernando, for giving me so-called the credit, but a lot of people deserve credit. First of all, the people who gave us an idea, people who are giving us input, which I see on this screens here, and many other people who would help us build this product. So it's just thank you, but it's not just me, the whole team. Thank you. Good, Sharon.
I think the input from all angles is invaluable to those that are, again, this is intended as an initial introduction and, as Al said, soft rollout, although there are some early adopters, but really to gain additional exposure on the tool for those that might be interested in participating, either from a council, a corporate, or a supplier perspective. Fernando mentioned the opportunity for regional, state, North American, global. So I'm going to jump to Gary Joseph, who I think, Gary, are you in South Africa?
Good evening. It's evening in South Africa.
Good evening. So it's, I think, is it 10 o'clock there?
It's 5 to 9 in the evening.
Oh, 5 to 9, okay.
Oh, thanks. And Sharon, thanks for the opportunity, and good evening to all of my friends in the States. It's when Al engaged with me initially on this, it came at a time where the hot topic amongst our certified suppliers is how do they do more business with each other? The second thing was a lot more inquiries coming through from our corporate members in response to COVID-19 for PPE requirements. And of course, how do they reach suppliers that have pivoted and are now able to provide them with PPE solutions, considering the fact that there was a sudden demand within the marketplace, and with restrictions around movement, those that had stock and those that could access stock were rare commodities within the marketplace. So during the course of the discussions, what I like about the engagement with Al and the team is looking at how the product in itself can be made suitable beyond the borders of the US, to be able to cater for the needs of businesses within our network in South Africa as well. And Al, we've done a lot of, I hope my inputs have been of value to you. I don't want to repeat what Fernando has said because, and Val, because you've hit the nail on the head. The type of solution that is provided through this platform is considerable and of huge value to councils like ours, as well as a win-win product for our suppliers in our ecosystem, our corporate members, but an opportunity that I'm starting to see this becoming particularly relevant in is the uncontrolled spend that constitutes anything from 20 to as much as 40% in many of our corporate members, where there isn't a buying function that is focused on buying those type of items. And it's an opportunity lost for suppliers within our ecosystem. So this creates a simple go-to platform where all of the efforts that we are applying to drive spend with our suppliers, our certified Black-owned suppliers in South Africa, that we now have a potential solution when we start having further discussions around the adoption thereof, for that type of spend to be captured. And those type of opportunities that lends itself to many of our suppliers that are relatively small and not yet able to compete for the larger contracts that have been consolidated by corporates. It allows them to do that. And we're hoping also that within the context of the early adopters, the Mondelez and companies like those that have a presence in South Africa, that it would actually assist us in the process of rolling out this type of solution in South Africa to make it suitable. At the end of the day, as Fernando had mentioned, we are all trying to ensure that we are providing access to markets, access to procurement opportunities, and more importantly, through this growing businesses within our ecosystem, Black businesses in the case of South Africa, and through that getting the impact that is required within the communities that they employ people from, the communities that they live in, and the overall economic impact. And having more data visibility as a council would also help us to be able to demonstrate the business case that is very often difficult to sell to late adopters of this type of initiative in South Africa, where we have a lot of compliance-based programs that are being driven in line with broad-based Black economic empowerment, and the opportunity to drive value through effective supply diversity solutions. This is one of the products that will help us in that regard. So well done, Al, to you and your team. And I'm hoping that within South Africa, we'd be able to engage with you further and look at how we can roll it out in our environment early in the new year.
Great to hear, Gary. Thanks for your feedback.
Thank you so much, Gary. For the corporations that are participating, I know that you are probably aware that for many companies that are multinationals, roughly half of their procurement spend is outside the US. So global opportunities and the visibility to diverse suppliers globally is definitely in demand. And the participation of SASDC and other international affiliates of both NMSDC and other certification agencies is certainly welcome here. From a supplier perspective, the opportunity for suppliers to see each other around the world, I think, is unique. And I don't know that there's been, again, a tool like this to be able to facilitate that exposure. As I talk about, half of the corporate spend is outside the US, much of the growth still remains in procurement outside the US. And for US-based suppliers that are doing business internationally or want to do business internationally, it's a great tool and a great opportunity to be able to target potential suppliers to partner with that are in country. So thanks again, Gary, for participating, and glad to see you're on board. I'm going to move on to Peter Hurst, the President and CEO of the Greater New England MSDC.
If I may, I want to do a short explanation here. So we, as I said, we collect the fees only from the supplier today, but Peter Hurst has slightly different spin to that. So Peter, I would like you to start with that, if I may.
Sure. Well, I'm going to disobey you a little bit, but,
Okay.
but let me start by echoing the sentiment shared by my colleagues, Valerie, Terrence, and Fernando. I think it's an incredible thing that an MBE has come up with this very innovative idea, and it's going to get traction, I believe, very quickly. Secondly, this should definitely lead to a lot more transactions, not only between corporations and MBEs, but also MBE to MBE commerce, which is very important. And Valerie is spot on in terms of, and Fernando echoed this as well, this is definitely going to create a lot more transparency with respect to corporations, MBEs, and the councils for all of us to see what's really going on in terms of commerce, because as we all know, there's probably a wide gap between what we aspire to in terms of MBE commerce, both from corporations and other MBEs and what actually happens. And this will make it very clear, the state of the world. The point I think Al wanted me to mention, which is something I reacted to when he shared this with me, I think this is going to be a platform that allows the councils to drive growth. Because one of the suggestions I made to Al was that, he not restrict this to just certified MBEs, but for an initial period of time, let any certified, non-certified business participate, and provide currently certified MBEs with discretionary pricing or, preferential pricing as a way to get everyone hooked. Because right now there are 11 or 12,000 minority-owned businesses that have been certified by all the 23 regional councils. There are at least 1 million MBEs out there with employees. So there's a wide delta between what we've certified and what the potential market is. And so if we really, push something like this, it would allow all of us to certify a lot more MBEs than we have, because there's a direct financial benefit, not just getting access to the customers, but getting preferential pricing to get access to those customers. So I really see that as a way to really expand this network, because the larger this network is in terms of corporate members and in terms of MBEs, the stronger it is and the more powerful it is.
Thanks, Peter.
And so you've heard feedback so far from many of the MSDC councils. I'm going to now move to Cynthia Johnson from the WBDC in Chicago. And so many of the questions have come up in the Q&A as to whether its platform is designed for solely minority suppliers. It will be open to all diverse suppliers. And the intent is for all diverse suppliers to be able to participate as corporations buy from all diverse suppliers. And the benefit there would be additional traffic, and that corporations and corporate buyers, sourcing teams can see all of the diverse suppliers. And so everybody in the platform will gain additional exposure. So Cynthia, I know that maybe some of the others have had more time with Al than you have, but what do you think so far?
Thank you, Sharon and Al, for this opportunity to be part of the discussion today. As Sharon mentioned, I've only recently, very recently, been introduced to the diverse marketplace tool. But what I have seen so far makes me believe that it would be a tremendous asset to diverse businesses of all types. And since I work for the Women's Business Development Center, which is an economic development organization that provides resources for businesses at every stage of the business life cycle, and we are the largest third-party certifier of WeBank, the national organization that certifies women-owned businesses. We are the oldest and largest certifying agency for the national organization. Annually, we certify, our office is based in Chicago, and we certify women-owned businesses in a 9-state region. And annually, within the region that we serve, that is the upper Midwest, we certify over 2,100 WBEs annually. And our commitment to them is that we are going to provide access to contacts that will lead to contract opportunities. A certification is a marketing tool that helps our certified WBEs access opportunities. In addition to the role we have as a certifying, third-party certifying agency, the WBDC in Chicago is also a procurement technical assistance center, which means we work directly with certified and non-certified businesses who are looking to secure contract opportunities with governmental agencies. We are a small business development center. We are an international trade center. And our overall mission for all of the clients that we serve, women, diverse, large, small, and established, our mission is to accelerate the growth and sustainability of the business. So the tool that has been introduced, as I see it, will be a tremendous asset in helping us meet the demands and the expectations of our, in particular, of our certified businesses. One of the barriers to entry for many of our certified WBEs is making that connection. So this tool is going to increase the ease of use and ability for those companies to promote and their products to a broader marketplace. And additionally, it's going to, as I see it, it's going to improve operational efficiencies for the business owners as well as the corporations. And those efficiencies will over time have a direct bottom line impact to the revenue streams. The tracking mechanism is something that is also a tremendous asset as I see it, because we are not currently able to determine when our WBEs receive contracts or report the spend. And that is so critical to measuring our performance based on the resources and services we provide. So having that data will also help us better track the economic impact of our certified business owners. And it was mentioned earlier, our corporate partners are doing more with less. Agencies are competing for dollars when it comes to corporate partner sponsorship. So anything that we can do together collectively and collaboratively to help our corporate partners identify and vet suppliers that can meet their needs will be an overall benefit to the corporate supplier diversity programs that are currently in existence. So I would embrace the concept. As I mentioned, it is something that I only recently was introduced to, but I see it as a win-win, innovative way to provide solutions, particularly in the current business and economic environment that our business owners are working through.
Thanks so much, Cynthia, for that feedback. I greatly appreciate it. And we hope that you will consider the tool as the WBDC goes forward. Al, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so again, like I mentioned earlier, for Fernando's comments, I mean, each of you have given us, and you are really the conduit and participating a lot in terms of where the products are, this product is growing. And we heard from Fernando, his angle, state government, local, from Peter, from Valerie, of course, Terry, Gary, and soon to be Cynthia. So appreciate your honest feedback on each of the features that you ask us to seriously consider and build. So thank you for that.
So quick recap again, we've started with the early adopters, both the New York, New Jersey Council and Mondelez. And so.
And the chair.
Sorry?
And the chair of council, Angela.
And the chair, yep, and the chair. of New York, New Jersey. So as folks are interested, if you're a supplier, the goal is for you to go through your council, and the council would then be aligned with the tool. As a corporation, the goal is for you also to go through the council, and the council then is aligned with the tool. And so we're promoting the councils at every step, and they would see a benefit from that relationship, as you've heard from a variety of perspectives. So we want to move on to, but if you're not aligned, if the council for some reason does not want to join at this point in time, whether possibly Keith King. So we're looking at veteran-owned suppliers. Keith was originally intended to be on the panel and had an emergency, couldn't make it. But so veteran, NGLCC or LGBT, as well as minority and women. So we really see it as a marketplace truly for all diverse suppliers. So we're going to move on to some corporate feedback of interested parties. We're going to start with, I believe, Fernando Hernandez from Microsoft. And all of these folks I've known for a long time, and I know that they can all talk for a long time as well. So we've left a good amount of time in the session for their feedback. But if we could keep it short, and then we'll move into Q&As. I know the questions are piling up. So Fernando?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you all virtually. I look forward to seeing you all in person in short order. From my point of view, living in the technology space, we're always looking at things 3 to 5 years out. And what you have to realize is that in this day of pandemic, we've experienced in the first 3 months, 4 months of the pandemic, you've experienced about 2 years worth of digital transformation getting accelerated. This is where all of us would have gotten to, in my opinion, 3 to 5 years out. This is the marketplace that needs to exist today. It has the promise of really fulfilling and equaling the playing field. Because think about it, any MBE, not only in the United States or any diverse firm in the United States, but around the world, because these platforms are global, ladies and gentlemen, that means everything quickly becomes in scope. But think about a marketplace where you have every diverse company and potentially in the future, non-diverse company. Let's just go with diverse company. Every major corporation, every major NGO supporting council type structures engaged, and potentially even government engaged. You have a very, very robust marketplace. I've analyzed the technology. Al has built this on a very solid technology. So you're talking about a platform that's well thought out, has very little friction. Guess what? That's what made Amazon and Alibaba very successful. Very low friction. He's learned from that. It's very scalable. So it's not a big deal to extend it to other parts of the world and do all the localization and customization for language and currency and things of that nature. That's in our world, that's pretty easy to do these days. And it's very secure, which is another key element that one has to have when you're looking at these things. But let me put my marketing hat on. I spent a lot of time, 10 years running multicultural marketing when I was at AT&T. So for a second, I'm gonna put my marketing hat on. And I'm just gonna pick on 2 markets real quick. Because we're talking today of business to business engagements, which is phenomenal. But I'm gonna take you into the further opportunity here, which is at some point, the switch can also be dropped from a B2B perspective to a B2C perspective. Think of all the diverse individuals around the world that would probably want to do business or buy product and service from people that look like ourselves or people that align to our way of thinking. In the United States alone, just to bring it back home, the US Hispanic market is about $1.6 trillion a year. African American, about $1.4 trillion worth of spend. It rivals the size and performance of Canada. So think about it. If we were able to start this confluence of doing business with corporations like ourselves, Fortune 500s, that are aligned to this mission, wonderful. But think about 5 years out that you're actually creating the future where the monies are going directly back into these communities. That's where I see that this is a game changer. So I like the tool, I like it very much. And I'll do whatever I can to support it out from our side and to position it internally at Microsoft. Thank you.
Thanks, Fernando.
Thanks so much, Fernando. We're going to move to Darian, who's a senior director at Tishman Speyer.
Oh, so thank you very much. And I'll try to be a little more concise than my friend Fernando. Just teasing. Good to see you. So for Tishman Speyer, you know, we're a leading owner, developer, operator, and fund manager of first-class real estate around the world. So we see lots of opportunities for this tool to be utilized internally and externally. One is the tool will give us competitive and compliant supply, which I believe, you know, every procurement professional is looking to do on this call. Number two, it helps you to increase diversity spend, but also reduce your tail spend, right? Because you don't have to have an invoice in a PO with 1,000 different suppliers. You can consolidate that in one marketplace and still have the visibility of your spend through the tool. So we find that as a huge opportunity for us. The next is that, you know, we view this as a hybrid approach. You know, one, we're a consumer of diverse spend and diverse products, but as an owner operator with thousands of tenants across the world, we view this as also the councils view this as a way to bring some of our suppliers into the diverse marketplace and then share in some of that economic opportunity with our clients by providing this as a solution to them across the globe. So, you know, we find very many use cases for it. I think the number one opportunity here is to make certain that we get as many qualified and competitive suppliers on the platform as possible so people can start to utilize and extract some of the extreme talent that's there. I think another really, really important thing is to allow corporations to be able to negotiate deals on their own and then somehow put those contracts into this system. And I'll give you an example of that. Al and I had a conversation last week and there was a face mask. I think we bought our team here about $350,000 worth of PPE for our corporations, our corporation and our tenants. So there was one face guard for $14.99. And I said to Al, if I'm going to buy, you know, 2,000 of those, there's no way I would spend $14.99 a piece for that. So how do I, you know, do that negotiation directly, maybe with that MBE, but then be able to purchase that through the tool. So that's one of the opportunities we have as all of us try to embrace this tool and help LSI Next Gen figure out, you know, what are all the roadblocks, what are all the questions, because I believe it's still in its nascent stages, but with all this feedback, it could be a great tool for supplier diversity and economic inclusion across the globe. So hopefully that was concise enough for you.
Thanks very much, Darian. That was concise. You did a great job there. I do have a quick question. You know, real estate is somewhat of an untapped area, I think, for diverse spend from a transactional perspective. Certainly, there's a lot of diverse integration in facilities management and soft services on the real estate side for building management, facilities management. But on the transactional, do you see that maybe there is an opportunity for diverse landlords to play or have a role on the tool as well?
Yeah, and this is probably a much longer answer than I could give here, but we look at spend in three different buckets, right? One is in corporate, so IT, marketing, et cetera, where some of those barriers to entry are a little bit lower in getting suppliers in, and we're doing a lot of work there. The other area that I have responsibility for is facilities management or property management. So you're talking, you know, cleaning, security, elevator maintenance, et cetera. I would consider that phase two. But the area where we're really really trying to grow the business is in the trades area, right? The design and construction from core shell development up. And we believe, and we've done, a lot of my team is on the call here. We've done a lot of work with the councils and outreach to figure out, who are the Black-owned, minority-owned, women-owned construction firms in and around major cities that we have developments that can help us ground up development. And we believe that's where the huge opportunity will come. But I have to tell you, Sharon, there are really only 4 to 6 minority-owned construction firms that have the bonding capacity. Even if they all got together as one, they couldn't have the bonding capacity for a $3.5 billion asset that's going up. So we're internally trying to figure that out. Our CEO, Rob Spire, is behind this 100%. And I believe, we are one of the first, if not the first, private equity-owned development and construction firm in the world to start a supplier diversity program. We're going to triple our spend over the next 3 years. So it's a huge goal for us. But coming from the pharma arena, it's nothing we haven't seen here at Tishman Speyer. So I'll be reaching out to a lot of people, especially Valerie, because I heard you talk a little bit about the trades. And there's plumbing, HVAC, you name it, where Tishman Speyer just normally hasn't gone to diverse suppliers for those types of services. And that's something we have a laser focus on, now all the way through 2023.
Thanks so much for that. I think that, as Al said early on, you certainly can filter on different target diverse categories, be it and by ethnicity, which is on a lot of people's radar this year. So, I see so much potential for the tool, Al. I'm going to.
So if I may, I mean, Valerie honestly threw a curveball at us when I went construction. When I said, wait a minute, Home Depot has 10,000 SKUs just for nails. I mean, do you want us to? And the answer is yes, we can. But, ultimately, it really boils down to what is that the buyers want. That is, most, what is in 70, 80% of the needs, not, so platform allows it. It's just a matter of incorporating those things in your platform, Valerie.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, even if I had the top 5 construction management companies in the top 5 regions in the US, that would be a huge help. Right now, we have a new process that's called If Not, Why Not? So if you don't have a diverse supplier on your list, why don't you? And we give them a drop down to be able to justify why not. Then it's our team's job to go back and figure out why, right? But we want to know why you're not adding a diverse supplier on your bidding list. And quite frankly, for some of the work that we do, like if we're doing demo work, it should be all diverse suppliers. Like, why not? What's the worst thing you can do? Break a pipe? You're going to tear it out anyway. So, so commodities like that and categories like that, we're really looking to have only diverse suppliers operate in some of those areas. So there's some huge opportunities around design and construction, especially in the New York market, DC, LA, et cetera.
Okay, I see additional questions coming in for many of the panelists. We're going to get our few more speakers in here. We're going to move to Nidra Dixon, from Accenture, who plays a role both in the US and North American SD&I, as well as in the European market. So, Nidra, you have comments to share?
Yes, hi everyone. I apologize for not being on video today, long day. I think I'll spare you guys how I look. So I'm definitely excited when Al showed me this, because I've known Al for a while. He's a graduate of our DSDP program, our Diverse Supplier Development Program. So I've really watched his ideas come to life. And I think this is something that corporates really need, but that it's really going to help our diverse supplier community. But I think the great thing that I love about this tool and what Al is doing is he's seeking the feedback from the right audience, from the councils, who are just fabulous, but really, never get all the help that they need. And I'm saying that too as a corporate. I think we can all do better. And definitely as we're trying to help our diverse suppliers grow in any way. And I think one of the things that happened during COVID is we saw so many small diverse businesses that didn't survive. And if there's anything that we can do to stop that, I think we should all embrace it. And when Al demoed the tool to me, that was the first thing that I thought about was here's something that we can really start to help save some of the businesses that might have been struggling due to COVID. And maybe, the question goes, what if this happens again? Will everyone be those that survive? Will you survive another pandemic? And I think having a different avenue to showcase products is one step forward. So, I'm definitely having a global role where Accenture's in 20 countries with supplier diversity and expanding more in 2021. I just only see the potential in this as I start talking more with Al to really see how we can start to leverage this as well. So I just want to say, great to see you continuing to innovate. And I just really hope that this is something that we can start to save those businesses, because it's really hard to know the small and diverse businesses that didn't survive COVID. Really want to do that going forward and save as many as possible. So kudos, Al, and kudos to the councils, because I know it's been very difficult for you as well. And I'm hoping that we all see that together. We're in this together, the councils, the corporates, and the diverse suppliers. So thanks.
It's all your DSTP program, Nidra, that helped us get here. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Al.
And so we want to make time that we make sure we get our last speaker in that's on the panel is Raul Suarez Rodriguez from Merck, who's the Director of Global Economic Inclusion and Supplier Diversity. Raul?
Last but not least.
Hey, Sharon. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, great. So thank you. Thank you all, Sharon, and everybody else. I think I echo the comments of my colleagues on the corporate side, right? So I think the sky is the limit when it comes to the opportunities that we're going to be creating through the utilization of this technology, because, we're going to really create economic opportunities for that underrepresented community of minority, women, LGBT, disability, and veteran businesses by giving them an opportunity to really, expand their business through this marketplace. I think my comment is going to be short, and after reviewing and seeing the demo from Al, I'm a mentor of a disability-owned business that is trying to expand into the e-commerce. And some of the things that he was lacking of was just like, he doesn't have really history on that e-commerce marketplace where big corporations are asking him, what are you doing, right? And I think I saw this as a perfect opportunity where now by having that supplier in this marketplace, he's going to really get that traction that he needs, and he's going to get developed to make sure that now he could actually grow. So, it is on the supplier side an opportunity for them that may not exist out there that would allow them to really grow and develop and get the numbers and the facts that they need to really, grow their business. So I think that's what I wanted to add in terms of what I had seen so far. And I echo what it was said before. We really need to get those qualified suppliers in the tool to make sure that we're driving that inclusion. So thank you.
But Raul, if I may, I think you had a slightly different spin, you mentoring one of the suppliers who is a potential fit for a platform like this. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yeah, so I mentioned that, that mentoring of that, disability owned supplier, right? Yeah.
Okay, okay, sorry, thanks, Raul.
Thank you so much, Raul. Al, do you want to move to the Q&A?
Sure, yeah, I mean, you pick the questions. By the way, again, now it's within the speakers, you can a corporation can ask council members and vice versa, or any of us. So it's open forum. So please go ahead, along with of course, the attendees. So Sharon, you get to decide.
So one of the questions is, many participants would like the contact information for some of the corporations that have expressed an interest or have committed already to the tool.
I think we have to ask them individually. Are they okay for us to share their whatever coordinates, name, email, etc.? So the answer is we will go out to each of them and then decide.
Okay. So several of these questions are geared towards marketing. How do you help us connect to our clients when we have a product that's from a supplier's perspective? Do you see the tool? I know there are different platforms that you're looking at. Do you see it as like promoting certain products on a given day and then kind of rotating it all? Would there be any kind of promotional, or is it kind of just like Amazon does promote certain products at different times? Have you thought about that?
As of now, we are not going to have sponsored ads or sponsored filter searches as of now. But honestly, the market will determine. We are not the decision makers. It's the buyers what they want, sellers what they want, councils what they want, right? So if there's a need for, because sponsor market has pros and cons, right? Then maybe the right suppliers may not have enough resources to sponsor something, and they may get not seen easily. So we will try not to do that unless there's a need from either side. But again, the focus is going to be more of a reviews, just like any other platform. You should have a great product, great service, great price, and you get reviewed by the buyers who buy your commodities. So the main thing is make your reviews are up, and everything is great: price, quality, service.
So as you are customizing as you go along, I think you did mention that certified suppliers, buyers will be able to see their certification, right, actually linked to the platform and to their site, correct?
Correct. We ask suppliers to upload that certification and we present it to the buyer. And of course, buyers can filter out based on, like we showed, ethnicity and whatever else, commodity, et cetera, et cetera.
Have you thought about being, one of the questions is any kind of a rating system to rate suppliers, kind of from a buyer's perspective? So, 3 stars, 4 stars, 2 stars, or no stars based on the supplier's relationships in buys in the tool?
Again, we are just a platform provider. The buyers or council members need to rate the suppliers. So yes, there is a rating system, but we are not the ones who rate a supplier.
The comment here was, if you look at Amazon, there are many suppliers that lowball pricing, but really can't perform. So any guards against that?
So again, there are various ways we're trying to make sure it's a fair platform, good for all parties involved. And we'll need to make sure on very ongoing basis that integrity is within the platform. And there's one more question raised by Fernando Hernandez a while back, and he was saying, look, as a corporation, and I'm sure that probably applies to many of you, all of you, sometimes they want only small supplier, regional small supplier. Sometimes they will only want, national supplier or slightly bigger region supplier. So we will collect that information from suppliers. That's optional. But I've heard that buyers would like to select, one catering event. They may just want a local supplier, right? For example, and things like that. So we'll have little more, few more tools by which suppliers can provide that those details, and buyers can buy based on that.
So as I clearly you're saying, as the tool moves forward, you will continue to customize as needed.
Absolutely. And again, we need to prioritize as we go along, depends on where is the most need. But it is an evolving, it will be, we'll always listen to people who are the stakeholders in this tool.
Mm-hmm. I think, so one of the questions is, will companies that provide services also be able to have a role in the tool? And I believe the answer is yes, as we've talked about construction, but you want to say anything else to that?
Yeah, again, our strategy is the buyers will decide. And also, come on, if it's a very easy to buy any product or service, then yes, initially we were given this challenge by Mondelez, cleaning services, right? So we had to kind of figure out what does it mean. And it could be, we just thought of deep cleaning, whatever, regular cleaning, et cetera, 4 hours, 1 day, 3 days, etc. So as long as these services are well packaged, easy to understand, yes, we have allowed cleaning services on platform today, as well as labor. When Paul and Frank said, hey, we want to hire forklift drivers and warehouse managers, that's in there. But it's not as complex as a super specialist in accounting or legal, for example, right? So it all depends on the commodity, Sharon.
But still, those types of companies would be able to have a storefront on the site as well.
Absolutely. It's up to the buyer if they can easily figure out what the suppliers have to offer and they can buy.
Does anybody from the panel have any comments you want to add? I'll just open it up to anyone there.
So this is Darian. So I think on the product side, it's relatively easy, right? Do I want to buy a widget and what's the unit cost for that widget? Relatively easy. But when you get into the services side, I think we said like cleaning is generic. It's anything kind of but, right? You have to take into acceptance like vacancy credits and how many people are in the building and when are they there? And so there's a lot that goes into the analysis of what cleaning costs at the end of the day, depending on the square footage of a building and the floor plates, et cetera. So, I would say for Al and the team, let's sit down with, like someone like our team who actually does facility management ourselves, right? It doesn't outsource that. We actually do that, and we can help you figure out how to set up those market baskets so that when buyers are looking to buy certain services, it'll make sense to them. Because, like if you want to buy a program manager, they're not all rated the same, right? And it's much easier maybe in IT than is in construction, right? So just things to think about as, you build out the platform. And we've had these conversations.
Absolutely correct. And there are areas, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to build on that. Like, I think as we've seen with some of the other ERP systems that have been put into place, the system is one thing, the data is the other, right? So the key is making sure that the quality of the data that you load into the database is clean. And that'll really determine whether or not you're able to, use it effectively, within your organization. Or as a supplier that's loading information in there, it'll be what determines whether or not you get the right type of hits or not. So it's all about the cleanliness and the organization of the data.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. What Darian, you and Paul said, it depends on how you package and put boundaries around those attributes. It should be easy to search. I mean, we do allow open email from buyer to supplier for any questions, just like Amazon. But I don't think it won't be useful to have very complex product like both of you said, Paul and Darian, right, in there.
But you did say that there was an opportunity for corporations to conduct an RFI or an RFP through the portal, or no?
The platform allows it. Again, platform is very robust. Like Fernando said, we use Adobe's standard platform to build, which has, like Darian said, Fernando, the scalability, security, multi-currency, multi-language with the click of a mouse, right? So it does RFP, RFI method as well as reverse auction. So it's a very fancy platform. The question is there a need? And if there's a need, okay, again, like Darian said, we need to figure out what those needs are, right? RFP is not an RFP in construction versus services versus whatever, right? So.
Right, because I mean, many of the corporate contracts are global, and even if they're North American, they're frequently bundled and very complicated in scope and nature and structure. So multiple services could be delivered at one time.
Correct. Correct.
I think that the remaining questions, we've covered a lot of them. Any that we missed, you can follow up one-on-one. They're more detailed. Are there going to be training classes that are provided at all for how to use the tool or to create a storefront?
So yeah, we have FAQs as a manual, of course. We have videos of how to, log onto the platform and upload. So everything is, we have tried to mechanize as much as possible. Let's put it this way, from the buyer side as well as seller side. But of course, we have people who will handhold you in that process. The goal is not to handhold you. I mean, we hope that you will at least read the basic information, what is that you can do, FAQs especially, how to set up a storefront and etc. Basic things. But we have support people who will help you on board. Yes, Sharon.
One of the questions relates to suppliers that would come on board. Would it be, how would a buyer be able to tell if a supplier was actually a manufacturer, a distributor, or a broker? And I think that would be entailed in the company description. Would you agree with that?
Correct. Absolutely correct. And that may apply to, quite a few products actually. So, I don't want to name names, but there are, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say corporate buyers will still need
yeah, and some buyers have asked us, you're kind of in and out, Sharon, sorry, at least to me. No, corporate buyers have asked us, they don't want, manufacturer and distributor, right? Many layers of distribution. And we see that the price just goes up. But in some cases, distributors are needed. So again, it's up to the buyer, and we will ask the supplier, are they direct manufacturer, or how many layers of distribution, how many layers are there in their supply chain?
So suppliers, someone asked about basically volume purchasing. And so suppliers would have the opportunity to integrate basically pricing based on volume, or it could be linked to a master services agreement, in which case they'd be buying off a PO that was kind of predetermined that they could buy through the tool. So it seems like there are various ways both suppliers and corporations could approach that.
Great question. And again, we allow buyers to say, hey, this is my preferred supplier, and therefore I get special whatever, delivery time or shipping cost or volume discounts. That typically is the case. We do allow that. But of course, we don't know those terms. It's up to, somehow through the PO, in this case, we will enable a buyer to buy from that preferred supplier. We will also allow, not there now, a buyer to say, hey, I have this as a shipper, this is a preferred shipper, and I want only these to be shipped. Other online platforms don't allow that. We are seriously looking at it if there is, again, need from the buying side, right?
Question here, and this comes up, every now and then, will the diverse suppliers have diverse owned workforces? And that is going to vary supplier to supplier, and the company will be able to promote that as part of their storefront, I believe.
I don't think I got the question. Can you repeat, Sharon, if you don't mind?
Frequently corporations ask, how, if I'm buying from a diverse supplier, do they have what's the extent of their diverse workforce? Is their workforce diverse? So there's a question of understanding a diverse owned company. In fact, that they get the equity is generated from being diverse owned, but then also having diverse employees, and a supplier would be able to promote that on their site.
That's a great question. Today we don't have it, but if we can definitely add that, if that helps them differentiate compared to other suppliers, for example.
Mm-hmm. And certified versus non-certified, as the tool evolves, if a company's not certified, the buyers would see that and could choose. I think the preference for most corporations is to buy from certified suppliers. And so Correct. It would be a selling point for the councils. So suppliers are going to see the benefit of being certified. as they go forward. So
Correct.
we have maybe 10 minutes left. Do you want to add any other thoughts, Al?
No, I want to add one question. And Michael Robinson, our friend of most of the people here, was scheduled to be on a call. He's not there, but he had asked us a question, and which was that buyer is buying through our tool, which is a first tier MBE spend. But if the corporation wants to capture the spend from the supplier side, how would they see it? So our answer was, again, Sharon as a accountant, CPA, she helped us. We can, based on what we know, the ethnicity or diversity classification on the supplier side, we can explicitly tell you out of $100, let's say the fees are, how much is kept by us, which is tier 1 MBE spend, and the $90 is whatever that spend is, whether it's African American owned, Hispanic, NGLCC, veterans, blah, blah, blah. So because we track that on this side, we have ability to expose that to a buyer if anybody needs that.
Hey, Sharon, this is Fernando. Can I make a comment about the last subject matter that you discussed just a minute ago? And that is that when non-certified MBEs or WBs, join the platform, and the corporate members identify them as being classified as minority but not necessarily certified. I think this is where the collaboration between the corporations and the councils works really well, because in many instances, our corporations will tell the individuals, hey, you want to do business with us, you need to go get certified through the NMSDC. And so I think that this is a really good, and that's the conversation that Peter was having earlier today, that this is a pipeline for our councils as well across the country, right? So I think but again, that's a collaborative effort between the corporations, public agencies, and the councils, driven through this tool that Al and the team have designed, right, and developed.
I agree, Fernando. Yes, and 100%.
One last comment that's coming in, Gary. There are many suppliers that indicate they would like to do business in South Africa, but they're not sure how to approach that, or they've tried to approach it and not been successful. So maybe that's a separate networking function of the tool that could be considered as you go forward.
That's definitely one of the benefits that I do see, because we have to bear in mind that when it comes to issues of international trade, there are different considerations that impact on pricing processes. There's the high cost of logistics, and there's ways in which that can more efficiently be done. I would actually recommend that if there's anybody interested in doing business with opportunities in South Africa, that they contact us if they are having any challenges, and let's see what we can do to assist them. But an important aspect of the tool, the platform in itself, is the opportunity that it creates to forge additional partnerships that would conventionally be difficult to establish. Knowing that there is somebody that is able to supply a product that a supplier in South Africa is trying to source, the type of pricing structure that would be on the platform would not necessarily be the type of pricing structure that you would negotiate when it comes to an international trade opportunity. So I'd really recommend that they contact our council.
Having spent time in South Africa, I would echo your comments. There is a tremendous amount of opportunity still to be had. And it's important for suppliers, just like corporations that do business internationally. You want to set up relationships so you have feet on the ground there. And that includes from a diverse supplier perspective as well.
There are a few features.
You, Sharon.
Sorry, Gary, go ahead.
No, I'm just echoing Sharon's sentiments. There are huge opportunities for partnerships. The platform is just one of the mechanisms through which the identification of such potential partnerships can be forged. There's the transactional element to it, but there's also the relationship sparking or catalytic relationship development aspect that is also another advantage of the platform for global business partnerships.
Okay, Al, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
So again, couple of features, and Gary just reminded me of kind of a local issues, right? Where asked to us some time ago, can a buyer buy sitting in one place for country A, B, C, D, and only based on the inventory available in that country, because they've had issues with shipping across the border and whatever, customs, insurance, freight, et cetera, et cetera. So we now are asking suppliers to say, hey, show us your inventory for, whatever countries you can operate in. That will help buyer if they want to buy that way. The same person asked us, can you tell us if it's price gouging? And that was, again, another curveball for us. And I say, hey, wait a minute, price gouging is a very loaded term. We need to understand what the base price you're referring to. And all we can say is this supplier's price is X% above or below. We cannot define price gouging as such. So, but yes, we can, of course, look at, all kinds of data outside our platform, within our platform, and say, hey, this is pricing is that high, but reviews are this. So, kind of comparison, ease of selection, I should say.
So what do you see as next steps, Al, for folks that are interested in learning more, either from a corporate perspective or from a supplier perspective? One of the questions was, if I'm a supplier and I'm interested, but my counsel may not be, what should I do? Should they follow up with you, or?
Like you said, we would definitely like you to go to the council president first. If he or she is not on the platform, maybe we can, give them a demo and see whether their interest is there. But if not, I think I have to kind of honestly figure out how do we, because commitment to the council presidents are, we will enroll what they recommend us, right? But if president is not, then the business need, we need to figure out, it's a fair system. Let me put it this way. Not just we don't want to just add on people just because somebody wants to come on. So is that fair answer from, I'm looking at Fernando, Peter, Valerie, Terence, and Gary, and Cynthia?
If I could maybe add, Al, within the context of the council's operating model, it's very important for us that the value of our certification and the associated cost that we incur to ensure that we build a credible base of certified suppliers that we can link up to our corporates. It's important that the platform becomes an enabler to support our mandates. But I'm also conscious of the fact that you are conscious of the fact that you don't want to erode the value by having and rather exercising the process of securing buy-in of the different council presidents and the associated councils, so that it becomes more of a partnership than just purely a platform. It's a partnership as well.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, Al, this is Fernando again, calling from the Northwest area in Seattle. I think that as a council president, what we're looking at is the enablement of our MBEs to do business, while at the same time enabling our corporate members and public agencies to do business with diverse firms, right? So I think that we have to look at that first as part of how we do business, and look at it from the standpoint of, is this tool, is Diverse Marketplace going to help us facilitate and move that agenda forward, right? And so I think that from our perspective, it would be very responsible of us to adopt and participate. But again, that's just kind of like, my opinion, right? I'm just one of 23 and others, right? So, but yeah, that's my opinion. But I think that the question that was asked previously was really sound in terms of, if I decide that I don't want to, and then there's an MBE that has a product here in Seattle, you know, what's his option, right? I mean, I would anticipate that he would be able to go to you and say, hey, look, these are the councils that are supporting it, and, you know, talk to them, right? I mean, but that's kind of like, there has to be an option like that.
And I would agree. Again, like you all said, precedents, we want to make sure it gets routed through the council precedents. That's our option.
Al, I have a question about
Yes, Cynthia.
how the certification status will be maintained. With the WBE certification, we do have a process in place that recertifies the business periodically. So who will be responsible for ensuring that businesses that post their certification are actually still current?
So we ask the suppliers to upload their digital certificate, the copy of that physical copy. We have plans to confirm that, calling a council, hey, make sure XYZ company is certified as of that date. We can remind suppliers of why you're expiring within whatever 3 months. At this point, we are really hoping that the council will ask them to recertify, or suppliers will certify themselves. But again, we know the date, we know email address, we can say, hey, you're expiring within 3 months. Start working on that. That's not a difficult thing for us to do.
The buying corporation would also be able to see the expiration date on the certificate.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
Yeah,
ask
sorry,
the corporate, ask the supplier, hey, do you have a renewed certificate? So
So
the
Al,
onus
this
is on the
is Al.
supplier.
So my thought
Sorry.
is that somehow inside of the program, there be a way to capture the certification expiration date as you're entering vendor data. And so it's flagged, you know, 60 days out that they're expiring. And so anyone can see, and that vendor can be notified that their certification is expiring. And so you do it something as simple as incorporating it into the vendor information.
That's a great note, Valerie, because that way that informs diverse marketplace. Fernando Martinez is about to expire, and then the conversations can begin, right? Because I think that corporations are going to buy from firms that are certified.
Correct.
That's a great thing.
Correct. Yes, Fernando, yes. So we have a
Okay,
minute
Al,
left. Yeah. Again, I don't know if we're going to technically get logged off at 3 p.m. sharp, whatever Eastern, but all the participants, I really appreciate your coming on today. And I know there are webinars maybe every day, but more importantly, your feedback that you're given in the past and that will give in the future. And just be transparent to us what is going to work and what's not going to work. And we'll try to, so again, council presidents, the early adopters, I'm looking at corporations. So thank you so much. We are here to listen to you and incorporate as many things in the priority that makes sense from product development perspective.
So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to participate.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.